Hey guys, my name's Chris, and this is one of my another MMA rants. And reason why I'm making this video, because why the hell not? And today I'm gonna talk about the differences between a close fight and robberies, and some examples to get a better view and to not make some more confusion, since there's always gonna be more confusion when it comes to these type of topics in the MMA world. Now, confusion to get out. That what a close fight is pretty much when a fight could go either way, and there's no really clear decision on this, and so it either could go to the right person or the wrong person. Either way, it could just be a really close fight to a point where it was just hard to judge, and it could really go either way. A straight up robbery is pretty much when a fight there's an obvious winner, but the judges just give it to the other person because either greed, either some personal bias, or pretty much one of the judges getting paid. It could or influence. Either way, there's been robberies that happen in the UFC that many people still talk about to this day, and that I'm also going to bring up. This is an obvious robbery, and this is in the fight between Jared Gordon and Paddy Pimblett, and that reason why this was a big time robbery is because Jared Gordon was pretty much catching Paddy Pimblett with a right hand in the first, second, third round. In the second round, you gave it to Paddy Pimblett. That's the only way I could see it, but Paddy Pimblett in this fight won by unanimous decision, even though he was pretty much getting hurt by the right hand a lot. I'm more surprised to the fact that Paddy Pimblett hasn't been dropped, or he hasn't been KO'd in this fight, because Jared Gordon was pretty much getting Paddy Pimblett with his right hand a lot. And then the judges gave it to Paddy Pimblett, and for that reason, it's because of his influence and how he's pretty much a star in the UFC because of his haircut, and also because pretty much he his own personality, just like Conor McGregor. Next fight is Duplessis and Sean Strickland, and I wouldn't consider this a robbery. There are many people who would consider this a robbery because they thought Sean Strickland won because he was landing more hits, and that Duplessis would look like after the fight he was getting more hurt. But I don't consider this a robbery. It was an extremely close fight, in my opinion. It really could have gone either way. Duplessis was getting Sean Strickland with grappling wise, taking Sean Strickland down a few times. I don't believe that. I don't believe it was extremely one-sided. That people were saying that because Sean Strickland was hurting Duplessis more with 1-2s and his boxing. There was the case of Duplessis headbutting Sean Strickland. Well, that's what Sean Strickland claimed. I wouldn't know. I did see the video. I don't think it was effective enough to hurt Sean Strickland enough. But the judge just gave it to Duplessis because Duplessis was using more grappling, and he did land in some more big shots than Sean Strickland because Strickland was doing more boxing of 1-2s. But I don't think it was a robbery. It was overall a really good fight though. Josh Emmett versus Calvin Carter. Now, the thing about this fight is I'm a little bit biased since Josh Emmett is one of my favorite fighters, but the thing about this is that when I watched the fight, I do believe Calvin Carter won this fight. And the reason why is because Calvin Carter, well, he lost the first round. Well, the first round could go either or, but he did lose the first round. But he did win the second, third, and not the third, the second, fourth, and fifth rounds. And then Josh Emmett won the first and third round. And that I don't know why they gave it to Josh Emmett, because here's the thing, Josh Emmett is one of my favorite fighters because he lives around my area, and he's also considered one of the strongest hitters in the UFC in 155 pounds. But Calvin Carter was he was hitting Josh Emmett more, and he was landing the more cleaner punches, and that Josh Emmett was really going for bigger punches, but it didn't land as much. But they still gave it to Josh Emmett. I thought Calvin Carter won, but this was just a close fight, and that it couldn't have really gone either way, in my opinion. Okay, this fight, in my opinion, is a robbery. I don't care what people say. This was a big time robbery. John Jones lost the first, the second, and the third round, and only won the fourth and fifth round because he was taking Dominic Reyes down. Dominic Reyes was piecing John Jones in the first, second, and third round, and the judges still gave it to John Jones because of influence, and that because John Jones was a big time name in that time, and that I don't get why judges would do that. It's still a thing to this day. People still talk about this fight, and that they still think Dominic Reyes won. Dana White will say something else. That because she's very very biased because John Jones makes some money, but John Jones pretty much lost his fight, and John Jones fans will say he didn't, and the fourth fifth round should count as more. It doesn't work like that. UFC gone with the boxing rules of scorecard for the longest time, and if this is the case, then John Jones should have lost this fight. Henry Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson. Now for this fight was extremely close, and here's, in my opinion, Demetrius Johnson won. It's because the leg kicks and how Henry Cejudo was pretty much wobbly when he got kicked so many times in the legs, but Henry Cejudo pretty much grappled Demetrius Johnson, and Demetrius Johnson out-grappled him, and Demetrius Johnson was outstrucking him. But the judges saw Henry Cejudo winning for this because Henry Cejudo was landing some bigger shots, while Demetrius Johnson was pretty much outstrucking him, but Henry Cejudo landing the bigger strikes and out-grappling Demetrius Johnson. I don't think this is a robbery. I do think it was a very close fight. I don't really think Henry Cejudo won this fight, but it really couldn't have gone either way, and I think that the judges were biased about this because people didn't really like Demetrius Johnson, be it because they thought Demetrius Johnson was a boring fighter because how easily he was beating people, and once he got to Henry Cejudo, people actually liked Demetrius Johnson because of this fight, because he actually found a match for himself. But yeah, I don't think it was a robbery. It was an extremely close fight. It was overall a good fight, but that's my thoughts on this. Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley. Now, this is a fight where people will say Peter Yan won because he was outstriking Sean O'Malley in the first and second, and how Peter Yan pretty much grappled Sean O'Malley in the first and second and pretty much took him to the ground. Here's the thing about this fight. I don't think it was a robbery. It was a very close fight, very very close, since Sean O'Malley wobbled Peter Yan in the third round, and Sean O'Malley was pretty much landing very good shots in the first and third round. But did I think it was a good fight? Very much so. Did I think it was a very close fight? Very much so. The first round could really go on either or, and Sean O'Malley pretty much wobbled Peter Yan in the third, but yeah, second. But that first round, pretty much, since Peter Yan is a very slow starter, it made it so it looked favorably for Sean O'Malley. But yeah, I don't think this was a robbery. This was pretty much a very close fight where it could have gone either or, and the first round pretty much decided that because Peter Yan is a very slow starter, but Sean O'Malley was landing a lot of shots. Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway 2. Now, this is a fight where it was still a talk today because people thought that Max Holloway would win this fight, and I agree with them that Max Holloway did win the second fight. It was because Max Holloway Max Holloway didn't win the first fight, but he won the first, second, and in my opinion the third round. But in the fourth and fifth, Alexander Volkanovski won the fourth and fifth round. But the third round could go on either or, to the point where it kind of gone to either or, where it was hard to decide on that third round, and that Matt Holloway winning the first and second, and Alexander Volkanovski winning the fourth and fifth, and the third being the judges scoring for Alexander Volkanovski, it really couldn't have gone either or. It was overall a good fight for Alexander Volkanovski, and they had their third fight decided. So it was something that's not robbery, but it was a very close fight in that matter. One fight that I can't fathom about, or I can't think how one of the judges gave it to Marlon Vera, but Corey Sandhagen versus Marlon Vera. I don't know why this fight. I don't know why this became a thing, but one of the judges gave it to Marlon Vera. And I don't get that, because Corey Sandhagen was not only beating Marlon Vera, but he was piecing up in all 5 rounds. And Marlon Vera, he's a very slow starter. And Corey Sandhagen, very technical and being very speedy, beat Marlon Vera in all 5 rounds, because Marlon Vera usually wants to land the big shots, and Marlon Vera is very precise when fighting, and he's very hard at hitting as well. But he did not win this, and one of the judges gave him this because, well, he didn't like Corey Sandhagen because of some personal beef. And that's the thing about this, is that one of the judges gave it to Marlon Vera because of personal beef. They can't do that. They really cannot do that. This is a sport where a fighter's income decided based on the judges, and it's based on either finishes or judging. And the judging making a definitely wrong decision on this. It doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, Corey Sandhagen won this fight definitely on this one, and this wasn't a robbery nor a close fight, but this is something that's talked about, something that doesn't make sense, and it could have led to a robbery if there wasn't 3 judges. There was another person that didn't like Corey Sandhagen. My final thoughts on this. There are times where UFC judges make good decisions, and there are times that UFC judges make bad decisions. I would like to think that UFC judges make overall the good decisions on this, but there have been many fights lately. There have been many fights that UFC judges do this because of greed, because of personal beef with the other fighter, and because of someone's legacy. I'm not a fan of UFC judging. I'm not a fan of UFC judges itself. I don't know why this happens, but it's just kind of like boxing, where there are some judges where they make the extremely wrong choices, where it was clearly someone else who won. But these are my thoughts, and that UFC judging does need to change for the better, and at least get some better judges.